All right, listen up, bitches. This is your March wake up call. You've been playing small through the winter, but now it is time to shake off the frost and step into the raw power and potential that has been simmering inside of you all along. I'm your host, Brandon Lynette. Hi, Christian mindset coach, best-selling author, and your fierce new cheerleader. I know words, okay? This is the Listen Bitch podcast, and we're in season 7. This is all about unapologetically owning your worth, embracing the audacious vision that God has for your life, and breaking through every barrier that has kept you stuck. Okay. So if you're ready to ditch the hesitation, you're ready to stop doubting your dreams, and you want to start living the life that you were born to claim, you're in the right spot. Okay. Every episode, we're plunging into faith, mindset, and the no nonsense truths that are going to help you ignite your next level. No fluff, no bullshit, no excuses, just bold talk about stepping into your destiny as a human of purpose and power. March is here. It is time to stop tiptoeing around, okay? Get ready to rise up, show up, and make this your year of unshakable growth. Let's go. This is Listen Bitch, where faith meets fierce and you finally start unleashing your true potential. You guys, today's episode was brought to you by a hater, and I'm thankful because here we have some content. So cheers to the haters. We're going to talk about triggers. Okay, we're talking about triggers because I feel like there's a lot of unhealed people running around just triggered by fucking everything, by everything. Okay, and this is a problem. It's a problem because there are people that are going to feed off this and manipulate you into doing their dirty work, ideally. Okay, but this is what's really happening. Okay, triggers are literally a window into our personal struggles. So you're showing your ass. You're showing deep-seated emotions. You're showing all your unresolved issues and all the past experiences that you are not consciously addressing. Okay. When something or someone triggers us, it brings up all of these intense reactions like the anger. Wow. Anxiety, sadness, fear, all of this. It has you going on this irrational tangent of nonsense. Okay. I'm telling you, these emotional responses are pointing to all of your areas of vulnerability. It's unpacking your past trauma, unmet needs. Maybe you were never seen and accepted. You couldn't accept yourself, but you expect the whole world to accept you. And we're in this cycle of hate because you're not. I don't know. But I know that the more you're worried about everything around you, the more you're worried about it, the less you have to look at yourself. And I think this is a problem today. I think it's a problem because see, Brandon Lynette could post something on fucking Facebook. I did talk to about myself it's fine. I can post something and I assure you that it has not taken a hold of me emotionally. Okay. Like whatever it is, it's not an emotional hold on what I'm feeling in that moment. Now, I started a political podcast a while back. It was called Two Truths and a Lie. That was emotionally causing a lot of things inside of me. So I had to take a step back and not do that because it was, I had to face my shit. I had to figure out, like, why are you getting so crazy about this? It was me starting to think I could control things I couldn't control. And control for me has always been an issue. Okay. So I had to unpack that. If you are triggered by things, if a certain situation is making you feel rejected or making you feel unworthy, this is, obviously a reflection of like past experiences of neglect or criticism or abandonment. And instead of being just a simple irritation, which is what we should feel like, I'm irritated at things I'm seeing on Facebook. Okay. It's a simple irritation, but it's no emotional response. I'm just like, oh, like the ignorance. And this like highlights unresolved feelings or beliefs about ourselves that influence how we are reacting in this current moment. Okay. Understanding triggers, and that's what I want to help talk you through. No matter where you're at in life or what's going on or what you're triggered by, we can understand this because I think we all need to take massive responsibility, myself included. Okay. We need to identify patterns in our emotional responses. Okay. This is the key to the root of our struggle. We want to get to the bottom of this. We want to open the door to the healing because we're going to be forced to confront the deeper issue. Stop worrying about everything outside of yourself right now. All of it. And I don't care what side you're on. I've seen a lot of things in a lot of places and it's just messy. It's so messy. But I want you to get to the root of your struggle. Maybe it's childhood experiences, personal insecurities, previous traumas that are affecting your emotional well-being, but you need to stop worrying about the shit and be willing to take a look inside of yourself. This is why I'm saying triggers are acting as a mirror, because it shows you where you need to heal, shows you where you need to grow, and it's obviously going to develop healthier coping strategies. Okay. Personal experience, ignoring the triggers is going to make your life harder. Okay. When you're trying to avoid or suppress like those emotional responses to certain situations, you're essentially burying the very things that need healing. And I've been there. I thought I could just push through the discomfort. I thought like ignoring my triggers is going to help me stay strong or move forward faster, but it absolutely does the opposite. Ignoring triggers doesn't give you freedom. It chained me to my past. It changed me to my past hurts. It changed me to unresolved issues. Instead of healing, I was reacting in ways that didn't align with the peace that I knew God wanted for me. It's like literally trying to walk around with a heavy ass weight on your back, the yoke, the cross, whatever, pretending it's not there, only to be weighed down more and more because every step you take, it gets heavier. And at the end of the day, I had to face the fact that if I didn't address this, it's going to keep showing up, and it's going to show up in my relationships. It's going to show up in my work, and absolutely going to mess up my relationship with God. And this is the thing. I know, since I've known what I know, that I don't know anything, but the one thing I do know, is that God calls us to live with peace and joy. And we can't walk in that if we're ignoring the things that are triggering our pain. Like Jesus came to set us free. And that includes freedom from emotional baggage. Okay. When we face our shit, we can experience healing and transformation. We're not going to blame what's happening in the world today for how fucked up our life is. We're not doing that anymore. Okay. We're taking massive responsibility. If your life is not okay right now, this is your responsibility. It is way better to take the time to acknowledge that and acknowledge those triggers and ask God really, literally for help through the healing process. Allow His truth to set you free. It's a hard process, but this is how we lead ourselves to that peace. And I promise it is worth every moment of the journey, the good, the bad, the hurt, the broken, the all of this. So it's time that we really start to take those practical, intentional steps. And I couldn't do this if I couldn't lean on faith. And I couldn't do this if I wasn't focused on a relationship with God, because that's not how we were built. Okay. So these are the things that I helped walk myself through that I want to help you with. Okay. The first thing you have to do is acknowledge the trigger. Recognize when you're triggered. I want you to pay attention to the moments when the strong emotions arise unexpectedly: anger, frustration, fear, anxiety. I want you just to pause. I talked about this yesterday a little bit, practicing the pause. And I want you to ask yourself, what just happened? And what is this reminding me of? Simple questions. What just happened? And what is this reminding me of? Everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak. Everyone, slow to become angry. Not my words, God's words. Again, once again, His words. Can't take credit for that. Take a step back in those moments, because this will allow you to avoid reactive, impulsive reactions, so you can better understand what is going on inside. Identify the root cause. Once you acknowledge the trigger, then you get to dive in deeper into why it's affecting you so strongly. And this means you're probably going to be unpacking past experiences. Okay. Painful memories, core beliefs that you hold about yourself. And my best tool here, the best advice I could give you outside of picking up the life book, the guidebook to life, is to journal. That's going to be a really helpful tool through this experience, outside of absolutely getting into scripture. Okay. This is where, in Psalms, search me, O God, and know my heart, test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there's any offensive way in me and lead me in the way everlasting. This is literally like, God, take away my anxious thoughts. Whatever is not good in me and does not honor you, take it away. This helps bring God into the process of understanding your emotions. And then you can reframe your perspective. You've got to take your thoughts captive, reframe how you see the situation. Instead of letting your emotions control you, you get to choose to look at the situation through God's truth. And what does the Bible say about your identity or your worth or your situation at hand? What does it say? You are worthy, you are loved, you are whole, you have everything you've ever needed inside of you. So I want you to start challenging the fucked up thoughts that you're having. Like, I'm not good enough. I'm always going to fail. The world is out to get me. Everyone is terrible. Replace these with God's promises, right? In all things, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. You've got to surrender the trigger, give it to God. If you are struggling with believing in something bigger than you, I can't imagine how heavy that weight is. I cannot imagine that, because there is no way that I can move through my life and be the person I am without being able to take the heavy stuff. God does the heavy lifting. He takes that stuff, and I can surrender to that. That's why, I can be better and not bitter. That's how I transform the harmful thought patterns that I have. And this is how I can release control, because I can trust in God's sovereignty. Everything. We bring everything to God and give it to him. And honestly, a lot of times triggers are related to unhealthy relationships or environments. Okay. So you should listen to my episode yesterday about boundaries if you haven't already, because we have to set these boundaries, clear, loving boundaries to protect your emotional well-being. So if I open my Facebook and I saw things that were really, really starting to piss me off or get me upset, I'm going to turn off my phone. I'm not going to continue. I'm not going to continue the scroll of crazy. Okay. I'm going to put down my phone and I'm going to breathe through, like, why is this hurting my feelings? Like, why am I triggered here? What is the issue? And it's what everybody should be doing. If this is pissing you off more than it's bringing you laughter or joy, if you're on political pages and going on tangents more than you're watching the cute puppy and kitten videos or the sloth videos, like I like to send my sister, if you're on the violent, aggressive tangent side of the internet, you need to take a break. Okay. That boundary sometimes need to be for yourself, but not just for yourself, but around people around you. Okay. I'm not saying shut people out. I'm saying it's time to safeguard yourself. Okay. Maybe you need to limit time with certain people and then communicate your needs clearly, and stop doing shit that is going to weigh you down. Stop doing shit that does not make you happy. You've got to practice self-compassion. Like, we beat ourselves up. I know when I first started working through all of my issues, like, I would beat myself up every time I was triggered or I felt like I was having a setback. And I'm like, why am I not healed already? Why is this not over? You have to realize that being triggered is a natural human response, and it doesn't define your worth or ability to work in God's grace. Okay. I want you to see and show yourself the same grace that God gives you. And I do the same thing. I practice that grace even when my core beliefs and values are not in alignment with someone I'm having a conversation with. I could still take that step back and give them grace to say there is something that's causing them to have this belief. There is a personal situation in their lives, and I can pray that they grow through it, right? That's what we want to do, but we want to do this on ourselves first. Practice on yourselves first. Being triggered doesn't make you bad. It means you're human with a lot of fucking healing to do. Okay. You have a lot of healing to do, and that's okay. These are usually stem from, like, the past hurts, right? And forgiveness is huge. Forgiveness is so essential for healing whatever it is you're going through. So I want to encourage you to process whatever forgiveness needs to be processed, whether it's forgiving other people or forgiving, themselves. I just have to, I have to put my phones, like, way over here, because they're going off and I just keep seeing the light and I'm like, da, 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 da. I'm here, babes. I'm here. I'm here with you in this podcast. I am saying that forgiveness is essential for healing. So whether it's forgiving other people or forgiving yourselves, holding on to that resentment is only going to deepen the wound. Okay. We got to get rid of the bitterness. We got to get rid of the rage. We need to find a way to be kind and compassionate. Like, I can't imagine, if I'm going to put out a specific example for something that is a trigger for me, it would be abortion. Abortion is wrong. The Bible clarifies that it's wrong. It is murder. And a lot of people feel different about that. And I can step back without the anger and the rage and absolutely understand the other perspective. I understand, but that still doesn't make it right for me. Okay. I could completely understand. On the other hand, a lot of the stuff I get back, like in, like a hate message, is there's a lot of hate because I don't want to kill a baby. And I can't make sense of that, right? Like there is no compassion to think, wow, she doesn't want babies to die, right? It's no, I'm hated for not wanting babies to die. It's very bizarre to me. I don't hate people that want to kill babies. Like that breaks my heart. It literally just breaks my heart. Okay. I get that life is tough and situations are tough and everybody has an excuse or a reason why they don't believe in that. Still doesn't make it right for me, but there is compassion. There is compassion. I have a really good friend, or used to be a good friend, that, had an abortion and it separated us for a very long time. I got to come back decades later and have a great conversation with her. And there was a whole level of forgiveness on both sides. And I think it was a beautiful gift. I still don't think what happened was right. And unfortunately, she had a lot of regret too. And that's not something I would wish on anyone. But at the end of the day, we want to have compassion. We want to be kind. We want to forgive each other, right? Because that's what we're called to do. If I want a seat in heaven, then I have to be someone who is forgiving and compassionate, because God literally sent Christ to die for us so we could be forgiven. Doesn't mean excusing the wrong. So we're not talking about, traumatic situations of, shit happening to you. It doesn't mean we're excusing the wrong, right? So if your ex-husband beat the shit out of you, we're going to forgive him for ourselves, but that doesn't mean we excuse the behavior. Release the control that it has over your heart and replace the trigger with God's truth. Literally, it's there. When you work through that emotional response, you can replace the unhealthy trigger with anything from the Bible, because he will tell you a lot on that, about the promises and the peace. This is how you fortify your mind and your heart for everything that comes up in the future, because I know, that God is there and he works out everything in my favor. Everything always works out for me. That is a statement that I have said to out loud for years. Everything always works out for me, and it works out better than I thought. That's God. So find the words in the book that are going to give you that power. This is it. Living a life free from triggers, you're going to get that immense peace. You're going to have clarity. And the best part is emotional resilience. If I am reactive, I'm giving someone power over my emotions. I don't like that. I know it's a toxic trait. I'm hyper independent. I'm not going to give you power over how I feel. All the time, people, did I make you mad? No, you don't have that kind of power. You just don't have that kind of power. Well, that's a lie, because my 6-year-old can drive me crazy with her little voice box sounds whenever she wants. Absolutely, absolutely, someone can irritate me. But in all honesty, like, I don't give people power over my emotions. I'm resilient because I found that peace and I work through my triggers. And even in the heat of the moment, if you practice this like a muscle, I mean, the craziest thing can be said and done to me, and I feel everything inside of me that wants to react. And I sit back, and a couple hours later, I'm like, oh, it makes sense why I was pissed off, because I could think about this situation and this happened. I felt ashamed. I felt humiliated. I felt like everybody was laughing at me. Whatever it is, it's always something you can work out. We want emotional stability. Okay. There's a lot of people in the world that are lacking emotional stability, and it's very obvious. Without constant triggers pulling you into reactive emotions like the anger, the anxiety, the sadness, you can experience the emotional stability. That's it. You'll be less tossed about the waves of unpredictable emotional bullshit highs and lows. And when that's not happening, guess what? That's the peaceful, balanced life. And this is obviously speaking to people who don't enjoy the triggers. I feel like a lot of people become addicted to the fight or flight nervous system response, and they like to freak out on purpose, and they like everything that comes with that. When I'm saying setting boundaries, stay away from people like that. Okay. Obviously, if this is you, you're not even going to listen to this podcast because you just like to be pissed off. You're not looking for something better. You're not looking for peace. You're not looking to step into the potential of who you are in the human experience. Fuck emotional stability, right? But this is the thing. These triggers are messing up your relationships. And that's why you have these misunderstandings. That's why we get defensive. And that's why we start distancing ourselves emotionally. When you are no longer triggered by past wounds, this is how you can respond thoughtfully. You can talk maturely, and you can have empathy in your relationships. That's obviously going to foster genuine connections. Okay. Increase self awareness. This is what so many people are missing. Let's get self aware, babe. Living without these triggers, meaning you can understand yourself and how you respond to situations better than anything. That makes it better and easier to create these boundaries that we've been lacking for so long. And that self awareness is going to allow you to respond to shit thoughtfully. We're not going to be acting impulsive or out of past pain. We're here to lead ourselves to personal growth, to maturity, to engaging in the world authentically. I want you to have the freedom from the shit that's been hurting you, because every time you're triggered, you're allowing that shit to pull you back into the past pain to relive it. Why do you want to keep living your trauma? Why do you want to keep going through the rejection? Why do you keep wanting to deal out the unresolved grief? You overcome these, you break free from the chains of the past. And this gives you the ability to live in the present moment. Everything you're struggling with, a lot of things can change if you just allow yourself to get into that present moment without being haunted by the past wounds. Okay. When we're not constantly having to react to triggers, we can experience the calmness that comes, that is already inside of us. You're looking for peace and happiness everywhere. It's already in you, babe. It's already in you. This peace comes from knowing that you don't need to be at the mercy of your emotions or anyone else's emotions or external circumstances. There is peace. And we find peace in knowing, like, God's in control. I don't have to live in fear. I don't have to keep ruminating on the past. It is done. It is finished. You make better decisions because you're not clouded by all of these emotional reactions. You can make decisions clearly and you can make decisions rationally. And that's how we can respond to life's challenges in a way that's going to align with your core values and goals. Instead of being stuck on the hamster wheel, that's just driving old patterns round and around and around. And we're not having the knee-jerk reactions, which 90% of people ultimately regret. And the greatest thing is, okay, there's something that really changes when you start to deal with your triggers, when you're not constantly in battle. You can accept yourself for who you are. Imagine that. Imagine finally accepting who you are, including your strengths and weaknesses, because this is going to lead to the greatest experience of self-confidence you will ever have. You will have this incredible amount of self-worth, knowing that you can navigate anything without feeling overwhelmed by it, knowing that you can take on any emotion without becoming the emotion. And especially if you are out here and you are all about, like, I'm going to live this Christian life, I am going to get closer to God. You can't do that as long as you are letting triggers run the show. Instead of being caught up in the turmoil, you really want to focus on seeking his presence. You can't do that if you're in fight or flight. You can't seek his wisdom and guidance if you are constantly, starting shit. You want to deepen your relationship with him, you've got to face the triggers. That's how you're going to get to his peace and love and understanding. And without these triggers, that emotional resilience, like, life is going to keep lifing. Life is going to keep lifing. Challenges are still going to come. Life is not going to get any easier because you do the triggers. You just are going to be at peace with whatever is happening. You can navigate it with grace and wisdom instead of getting knocked the fuck out. That resilience makes you adaptable. You could bounce back from anything, and you start to move and live and breathe in that confidence of, I can do anything. I could do anything because I got through this. I could do anything because I faced this. I could do anything because I worked through this. It's like freedom to live fully. When you're not a slave to the triggers, you get to be in the present moment. You're not held back by the past or controlled by emotional reactions. So now you can experience life with joy. You can really finally step into your purpose. You can take a hold of all the things that are going to be your definition of fulfillment. You are not constantly looking over your shoulder, preparing for the next blow. I want you to find your greater sense of peace and purpose. Don't give everybody outside your power. Don't do that. You're letting these people dictate if you're going to have a good day or a bad day. You're letting these people decide what kind of monster you're going to be, if you're going to rage and freak out and go on some internet keyboard warrior tangent rant, which you're the one that's left feeling fucked all day. You know, it didn't ruin my day to get a piece of hate mail, but I know how pissed off they were. And I know how pissed off they'll probably stay. And the thing is that I might be blocked, but I guarantee they're still going to be bothered. I just got some great internet content. It's a win for me. And that's what happens when you become resilient, is that the things that were meant to knock you out don't phase you. I could dodge the punches sometimes, but I want you to see that self-acceptance really has to come from inside of you. Should we say hi to my kid who is blowing me up right now? We're not going to do that. But I want you guys to know, like, this is about your. Oh, I answered. Okay, I answered the phone for the kid, and then while I was talking to her, I got this quick message from one of my sweetest friends, biggest supporters, and she's actually one of the people that I hold. I know we have different beliefs and different, we're just different, but we're still friends, and I think it's amazing. So I pay attention more to like the glimmers of life than the triggers, because she's definitely a glimmer in my life. But the funny thing is, okay, is that she literally found a blast from my past, okay, that she sent to me, and I was like, "Oh my God, I forgot all about that." Uh, which I think is great, because I'm laughing. I'm like, dude, I'm literally doing a podcast on triggers, and I'm going to go look at this when I'm done to see if I get triggered, okay? Because it's not always easy, like, to look back. It's not always easy, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, and I'll keep you guys posted. But I wanted to record this first just because I wanted to finish recording. So, we're gonna record the things and finish this podcast episode. I believe I was here about to remind you of your inherent worth. Okay, like, you are a child of God. Your value does not depend on how other people see you or in a false image that you're trying to project to the world. Okay, his love is unconditional. He is a come as you are, come as you are, and he calls you to a new life. He doesn't say stay where you are. He says, hey, exactly who you are today. I love you. Now let's go for the new life. Okay. His love for us is huge. Okay. We're all sinners. We all fuck up, all of us. Okay. There's not anybody walking this earth that has any room to judge anybody. But before we even try to be perfect or meet the world's standards, God has loved us. He's accepted us fully without condition. We are enough because of him, not because of how other people see us. And I want you to learn to see the difference between the truth and the lies. And a lot of people, like, you're struggling with the self acceptance, is that you are internalizing lies. You have taken on all of these false beliefs about yourself, whether it's from your childhood or maybe a past relationship or just the pressures of society. So I really want you to get to the core of your beliefs. You know, if you are super pissed off on either side of the internet today, I want you to really get to the bottom of your core belief, okay? Question the origins and see them for what they are, because most of the time it's a distortion of the truth. That's it. And if you can identify the negative thought or delusion that you're holding on to, write it down. And then contrast these thoughts with God's truth. Literally, if it is not something that serves you, if you think that you're not worthy of love, you're going to want to replace that. Not worthy of love, that's a devil's lie. Obviously, you're not good enough, that's the devil's lie. You're too stupid, you're too ugly, devil lie, devil lie, devil lie. You are loved deeply and unconditionally. by the only thing in all of creation that matters. Okay. Because guess what, babe? Your husband's not going to get you into heaven. Your mom's not getting you into heaven. You're not getting your kids into heaven. The internet fans or haters are not going to get you or prevent you from going to heaven. No one has control of that except for you. And that key to heaven is your choice in locking in on a relationship with God. The most unconditional and deep love that will ever exist is the love that God has for you. That's it. There is no question if you're good enough. Are we going to do shit that makes us think twice? Absolutely. 2 weeks ago, I had my head in the toilet, absolutely thinking, okay, come on, man. This is not, God is not loving me. Yeah, he wasn't loving what I was doing. I guarantee that. But at the end of the day, absolutely still loves me. Disappointed? Absolutely. I'm sure that his hand hits his forehead more than once when I come up on his radar of just like, Brandon. But he loves you no matter what. Learn to accept yourself and love yourself for that too. Stop living in the land of delusion. You are worthy of love. And we have this whole desire for the world to accept us. And you know why? Because we have this deep fear of rejection and we've probably been rejected. All these people out here screaming and yelling and angry and just radical in their beliefs. Those are people that have been and still are being rejected and have rejected themselves and want the world to acknowledge them as something they can never be. They can't even accept themselves, so we'll never know who you really are. So we're not going to accept the delusion, and that's going to keep the cycle going because you're going to be pissed off. Well, you're not accepting my delusion. I wasn't accepted as who I was, and you're going to feel really super, super fucking lost. We don't want the world's acceptance. I want you to accept you. You to accept you. So I want you to confront this fear by emphasizing that no amount of external validation is going to give you the peace and the wholeness that you crave. If the whole world stands up and says, bravo, Sandy, bravo, we're all signing off on your fuckery, bravo, you're still going to feel like shit. You're not going to feel good. It's not going to be enough because guess what? Not only that, the world standards are constantly changing. The only thing that is unshakable, the only thing that's unshakable is God's acceptance. That's it. That's it. Everything else is just flaky. Because what's cool now isn't going to be cool in 10 years, right? Unless you're talking to my mom about bell bottoms, and those never went out of style, honey. Never went out of style. I want you to embrace being vulnerable. If God is for you, who can be against you? Ultimately, God's approval is it. And the world is going to reject us. That's what we want. We're okay with that. Let it reject you. It's temporary. God's love is eternal. It's eternal. I want you to see the beauty in being vulnerable and being authentic. The world values perfection in a curated image. And I see that. I see that because I'm like, I do market research. I was checking out SEOs and I was following some links the other day on some hashtags. And I'm just like, these people are so curated. It's not authentic. It's not authentic. And people see that. They want that. They want that image of perfection and it's just not real. So you're being misled by so many people. And what I've learned is that God values authenticity and humility. That's it. It's in our brokenness and imperfections that his strength can shine, that his strength is made perfect. Be who you are. Truly. Not who you want the world to see you as, not who you want to be accepted as, but who the fuck are you on the inside? And you'll never know that unless you start facing your triggers. That's it. God's grace is sufficient. His power is made perfect in our weakness. That's why I'm not afraid to talk about my mistakes, my flaws, my weaknesses. If I hide that, then the power of Christ doesn't shine. And my real strength real core strength comes from accepting those weaknesses in myself, being willing to change and work and grow through them, and allowing God to take control of it. That's the superpower. You've got to release the pressure of these external circumstances. The world is going to pressure you to be something you're not, to wear masks or live up to expectations that will never align with who you really are. Let go of the pressure to conform. Your worth and your purpose are not determined by fitting into the mold that the world is trying to shape for you. Like, ask yourself, truly, what does God say about me? Not what do other people expect from me? Realign your identity with Christ and reject the false narratives that the world has imposed on you. There is so much power in self-compassion. Recognize that accepting yourself includes showing compassion to your own struggles, your own flaws, to your growth process. That is why you got to bring in this patient and compassionate piece of the puzzle. Because when you can bring God in, you can extend that grace to yourself. Self-acceptance is not about perfection. It's about growing in understanding and love for yourself just as you are. God's compassion will never fail, ever. Anchor your identity in Christ, not in the fluctuating standards of what's happening in and around the world or what the world expects, because the world is going to praise or criticize based on external measures. Everything outside of you is going to see, do you add up? God locks you in on a heart level, and he sees your true value on a heart level. So find peace in knowing that your worth comes from being created in God's image. What? Created in God's image. What does that mean? Who are you in Christ? You were chosen. You are royal blood. You were chosen. Declare that you are valued. You are called to something far greater than being approved by the world. Accept yourself as you are and start recognizing your worth, who you are from Christ. Stop conforming to the false standards and expectations. Anchor your identity in love and grace. Stop chasing external validation. Find peace and purpose in being the authentic person that God created you to be. Otherwise, your triggers are going to hold you hostage forever. Forever. I don't want that for you. And that's it for today's Listen Bitch podcast. You've got the spark, the faith, and the grit. Now it's time to take that March momentum and charge. No more hiding, no more playing safe. It's time to step back into the fierce, purpose-driven human that God's been shaping you to be. This is your month to break ground and build something unstoppable. Make sure you guys are signed up for emails at brandonlynette.com. I do share like my YouTube videos and the link for the podcast. We're on Apple, Spotify, subscribe to YouTube though. Your girl is starting out fresh there. I think I have like 2 followers and one is me and the other it would be my husband. So give a girl some love over there. Follow me. Make sure you are interacting. I've got the Listen Bitch Facebook group. I went live in there today asking for more podcast topic episodes because I need some help there. I'm happy to create the content. I just need a little something. And maybe you need to send me a hate mail. Like, dude, if you hated this podcast episode and you're like, fuck this bitch, who does she think she is? I can handle that and it will give me another podcast topic. But if you loved it on the other hand, then love it and tell me what I could do to improve and what's another topic I can grow through. Okay. So I need your help through that. brandonlynette.com. Emails are going out. If you're not getting them, make sure you check your spam folder or your promotions or your social. I don't really know where I'll fall, but I know that some people have said, I don't get your emails. And then if you really want to, if you are going to take it serious, then I'm telling you that having God in your corner changes everything. If you want to take that serious, join me for Bible study for a badass. That is every single day. Okay. That's every single day. There is reading and scripture. And I kind of just give you my take on this and how we can apply this, like what God is saying to you. Okay. And if I can see what God is saying in chapters like Numbers, if you know, Numbers is probably the hardest, scripture to get through sometimes because it's a lot of numbers. Okay. If I can see what God is saying through here, anyone can. Okay. And it took me over a year of reading the Bible to really be able to lock this in and have confidence in sharing what I believe that message to be. Okay. I'm not an expert. I literally don't know anything other than the fact that God is sovereign, and I couldn't do this life without him carrying the heavy lifting. So that's it for today. Wish me luck. I'm going to go see if I could trigger myself through some past experiences here. And I don't know, maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow. I love you guys. Have a great night.